You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.
Where do I come from?
It seems like you have a little problem understanding the English language.
The only way a guy like you gets a set of nuts is by buying them at the concession stand.
I will eat his carcass in front of his little gazelle friends.
He's like a jar of mayonnaise with eyeballs and a ketchup haircut.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty!
Son of a bitch.
Wow, man, freaked out!
Get your fucking shit together, my God!
And I'm living now, yeah!
I want to know what's going on, and I want to know right now.
It's like the most important man in the world standing here, and you got a conversation going with each other.
I would like to just get to know you.
The great one says you can kiss his ass.
Nice to meet you. What's going on?
I wish horrible flesh-eating disease on you and your family, but not a disease where you die. A disease where you have to walk the earth mutated as some sort of piece of...
Listen to me very carefully. Whatever your name is, get ready for the big surprise. Listen to me very carefully.
Maybe I am insane. And maybe it's time for you to find out how insane I am. Yeah!
We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? Your boy Scrappy in the house, and this will be a debacle for sure. I cannot wouldn't expect anything less, but we have the audio in the video scenario, I believe, taken care of. So, should be no issue with that. Loads to get into today. I hope you guys are ready. We got the belt mod, part 2 coming up. We did a WWE belt. We're going to talk that. We got the eBay, Etsy, buying a belt debate and conversation. We're going to talk about that. And, of course, we have got a virtual party coming up here real soon on J-Dub Belts page for Money in the Bank. And then what are we going to do after that? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And anything you guys want to get in is fair flipping game. We are on Studio 57 Radio's Facebook page. We're also live on their YouTube channel and on the J-Dub Belts page. If you share and jump over and check it out on there, we are there. You can get in on the conversation in the chat rooms or the comment sections, whatever you want to do. But also we have the text line available for you, 313-307-5340 if you want to throw anything out there on the good old-fashioned tip or down low on the DL. We got the DL line for you there, 313-307-5340. I hope everybody is staying sane in the lockdown scenario. It's been something special, guys. I know it's been rough for everybody, so we've been trying to do a little bit of anything we can to keep from losing our minds. I've been doing little projects, whether it be around the house or in the shop. Of course, it's belts, and more belts for me, so lots of that going on. Spent a lot of time behind the computer lately trying to get things ready as we get stuff into the acid bath. So, yeah, I've been on, belt detail pretty consistently, but it's been a nice day in the D today here, so I took a little time to hang out with the family, get some yard work done, barbecue. I hope you guys are trying to do the same kind of thing. I hope everything's well in your world there. I mentioned in the opening here that we get into our listening party. I will post up an event for that, an event page for it after this show is over. Also, I'll put up some other stuff up there. We're going to look at what we're going to do is we got Money in the Bank next week. So we do this show on Sunday, 7 p.m., and I kind of did that for a reason. That's typically when WWE will drop their pay-per-views on a Sunday, right? And at 7. So that's gonna be our gimmick here at the show. We're gonna do the virtual party. So that'll be a Facebook exclusive though. So if you guys watch on YouTube or any other platform besides our Facebook page, the J-Dubs Facebook page, I should be more specific. If you're anywhere but the J-Dubs Facebook page for the virtual party, you'll miss out. So that is exclusive to there, but that is going to be like our gimmick here at the show, right? So we're going to do our show, and then on our 4th show of the month, or whatever the show it is, what is it, the 2nd show of the month now? So they'll have their show. So instead of doing this, we'll have the virtual party over on the page, and we'll do that instead of the podcast. So that'll be the only interruptions here for this show is when we go do the virtual party and hang out. It'll be the same kind of thing. Except for we'll be hanging out watching a pay-per-view together instead of talking about other stuff. So, and like I said, anything you guys want to chat about, we'll get into. So, last week we were having some technical issues and stuff like that for our launch. That's just how things go for me. It doesn't matter how long I've been podcasting, how long we've been doing stuff. It doesn't matter which way we do things, or it could work. It just doesn't matter. It's almost always inevitable when I get some hype, when I start building things up. And putting something out, then it craps the bed, technology-wise, whatever happens, like even today when we went to launch, there was an internet issue and we had to kind of reboot everything, restart it to get the internet up. It's just like, so things kind of go against the grain, against you a little bit sometimes here and there, but we will always kind of fight through it and prevail one way or another. So I apologize for coming on a little bit late. But we got a lot of stuff we can cover here in a little bit of time, as long as you guys want to get involved, is how long this show will go. I mentioned also in the intro, the open, that we had the part 2 of the belt modification. So we did a WWE Toys R Us belt modification, and we did a bunch of cool stuff. So part 1 was last week when we had all these technical problems. And it's like, so I doubt you guys got anything out of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine 1 and 2 together, and we're going to play them after the show. So that way you can catch part 1 and 2. It'll all be there. And then part 3 I'll play right before the virtual party on the J-Dubs page when we go and have our party for Money in the Bank. So and then you can go to the Studio 57 Radio YouTube channel, and we'll upload them also in sections on the J-Dubs Facebook page and throughout all our social media stuff. So you'll have an opportunity, if you miss it, to make sure you catch it. So we did some really cool stuff with this thing. And we'll get into it, and I'll explain some of the tricks and stuff like that that I had to kind of do that'll help you when you go to do these modifications. So you'll kind of be able to keep that in mind while you're watching the video. Now, keep in mind, it was well before we got our new software and stuff like that. So it's kind of a grainy video, and it's not that great. The audio isn't that great, but you get the general idea. You can see everything I did. I walk you through it. And the part 3 comes out great, of course, because now we got the new software. But the old software, the new update, along with the update with our social media updates like Facebook and stuff like that, it just shit the bed. So so you still have a little remnants of that, and I do apologize, but it's all there, and we'll have it all up for you so you'll be able to catch it. And like I said, after the show, we'll put 1 and 2 back to back so you can watch most of the process, everything up to the very end little trick, which you guys saw. You saw what the outcome was. I posted the mod. We're offering that up if you guys want modifications over there at JDubBelts.com. We can do that for you. Depends on what kind of modifications you want, and or whether on whether you're gonna what the cost is gonna be. But so it's kind of like a quote basis. But we did modify it. Took the plates off. It's a Toys R Us, so it's a kid's belt, and so we took and cut. They don't accept the side plates that the WWE belts, the replicas, do. And if you want to be able to customize your belt with side plates, then you have to buy the replica. The Toys R Us one doesn't work. So you can see part of it sitting on the shelf here on the corner on the table. We did a split-colored red and blue look on the World Championship, and we cut it out so it could accept the side plates that you'd buy from the WWE shop. So there's some Goldberg plates at it now. I'm gonna make some custom ones to put on there, but that's what we did. We also did a hand-tooled like backdrop for it. We repainted the swoosh. We did some really neat stuff to it. And another little secret surprise, if you haven't seen it on the Facebook page already, it's pretty cool. So we put all that together, made a 3-part series of everything we did with all the video and audio, and I did it live to tape, so I didn't really edit anything out. All I did was, when I was just sitting there working and doing nothing, I just sped up the video there, so you don't have to sit there and watch me work. And then other than that, it's just live to tape. So it is kind of cool as it unfolds to go. So I'll give you some tips and pointers at the end of the show of what to keep in mind as you're doing the things that in that project. So the big topic of the day, of course, is, I should say the big topic of the day in pro wrestling is obviously the WWE situation with the live shows, or what they're going to do with taping. And then, of course, Vince McMahon is getting sued in every possible way he could get sued. So that's the big topic. We'll get into that if you guys like. In the hobby world right now, it seems like everybody, I'm seeing more and more, and we talk about it, guys. If you're in the hobby for any length of time, then you can kind of see this stuff, and to be patient and to take your time and not mess with too many things. So we touched on it a little bit, although we had some audio issues last week. We touched a little bit on the not just the bootleg scenario, but just getting belts in general and going to eBay and things like that. So the rule number one really is with eBay is just don't do it. That's what most people will tell you. When you get into the world of belt buying on eBay, I'm going to tell you the same thing with Etsy. Just don't do it, right? Just don't. There's no reason. Just don't do it. So if the thing is with that is I kind of subscribe to that, but not wholeheartedly, because this is my take on it. With eBay, you have a buyer guarantee. So if they sell you something that's horse crap, you can return it and eBay will give you your money back. Like, they're not playing. They don't play around with sellers, and because they want buyers to be comfortable using eBay, because Amazon is the king of everything when it comes to that kind of thing. So I'm not as familiar with Etsy, but when you are on these sites and you're dealing with these places, it's not any different than when you're in some of these groups. A lot of these cats will try to, or you check out these pages on Facebook. A lot of these cats put out pictures of things that aren't their product. They steal the images, they take the pictures. That's why we do our images the way we do at J-Dubs, so that you don't, you can see, everybody knows it's kind of hard to jack our imagery. So that's the kind of thing that you'll see, though. And it's really prevalent on eBay and Etsy. So you have to be super, super careful what you're buying when you're dealing with these cats. So quite often they will send you your product and you will get it, but it will not be what you think it is. Like, whatever they say it is, whatever that picture looked like, what you get will be far, far, far inferior. I saw a friend, not a friend, but a belt brother in the community, let's just say that. I don't really even know the guy. But he had bought, I want to say, off of Etsy, or it was definitely Etsy or eBay. And it was a New Japan Heavyweight Championship. Now, that is one that is that's like basically my holy grail, and it's on my bucket list. I've got 3 more belts left. I'll actually have 2 if another one comes through as planned, without any issue, left on my collection list. And then I'm pretty well locked in, unless something new comes out that really catches my eye. Or old, I guess, for that matter, that I've not seen before, because that happens as well. But or maybe a ring used. So that's the kind of stuff that comes my way. But I mean, as far as like designs, I've got a couple more left, and the IWGP is one that you are super patient with. You definitely want to make sure you get it from the right maker, get it from someone you know. It's going to look good. It's going to be right. Even if you get it secondhand from somebody, you've got pictures, you know, this guy's trustworthy in the community, yada, yada, yada. Take your time with a belt like that, because almost every maker that tries to make that belt makes an inferior version of what it should be. You know, whether it's the globes, the domes on all the little spots in it, you know, whether it be details like the side plates, name plates coming off the sides, all those kinds of things, you know, aren't even in the thing. And so, you know, let alone like the etching even being like as clean and proper as it should. That is a tough belt to do. I would never touch it because I just simply don't have the equipment to do that particular belt here any justice. So that's one of those things, man. Just stay out. The one I saw this guy showed is like, what could I do with it? It's like everybody's like, dude, we don't want to rip on you or say anything bad, but like, dude, what in the world is this thing? Like what? Like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like literally, like it was just, you know, where did you get this thing? Like, so I don't buy one. So yeah, definitely stay away from the whole Etsy scenario. I think you'd be much better off for sure. Now the eBay thing, I've got a little bit of a different take on that. Now most people tell you to stay away from eBay altogether with, but to me, if you get it from eBay with the buyer protection, it's super simple. If they bait and switch you on the picture, on the pictures, then you've got a claim. You're getting your money back. So what you do is you screenshot all the pictures and all the stuff in your, which they should have a record, but I would screenshot all the stuff and what it's supposed to look like and what the description is, and make sure that when it comes, it's exactly what it says and what the picture shows. If it's anything different, you just show them that, and eBay will, you know, within like 48 hours, will have you have your money back, and you'll have to make arrangements to ship it back. Now, in a lot of cases, these guys won't even bother to pay to ship it back because they already paid you your money back. They already lost money shipping it out. They don't need to lose any more shipping it back if they're not even going to sell the stupid thing anyway, because it's a mess. And so they won't even, a lot of times you'll just end up with a free piece of crap belt, which, I mean, whatever, make it into a project. We could do something on the show. I could give you some pointers. We could have some fun here on the podcast. But yeah, so my take on the eBay thing is a little bit different. If you have the money to spend, now I wouldn't drop a big dime on it. And if you know if you're spending a little bit, just a little money, you know, it's a super good price, and you know you're going to get a super bad product. That's just the way that usually goes when it comes to eBay. So I would advise, if you're going to do something, take your sweet time, make sure you're not seeing duplicate pictures, do whatever, and then find, you know, from somebody else's thing, find what you want, make sure you spend, you know, that the price seems right and seems accurate for, you know what I mean? Not a too good to be true kind of scenario, and then pull the trigger on that one if you're going to do it. And then just, you know, do it when the money's not a big deal. And when and just knowing that if it doesn't come through or it's a piece of shit, that you'll get your money back from eBay. So because they have to prove that they ship everything, and they got to do all that stuff. So if it doesn't come, or it comes and it ain't what it says, you know, if it tells you it's a 4mm zinc belt and you get it and it's 2mm brass, you will get your money back. So I mean, it's really that easy. So, but you know, it's a hassle to go through if you don't want to go through all that. Nobody wants to go through all that. So if you have a trusted maker that gets your stuff out there, go for it. Super hard to find right now. Not too many cats out there that I would call a trusted maker, and that can do a lot of things that you want. And then all of them that you're going to be waiting. There's a long wait, no matter who you're dealing with, if they're legit. Because they'll be busy. This thing seems to be like almost, recession proof, this business, as far as if you've got the ability, the equipment to do, and some of these crazy designs, there'll always be belts to be made and people to buy them. So it feels that way anyway. So we got that on the table. If you guys have any experience either way that you want to share, one way or the other on that, we've got. Go ahead, feel free in the comments in the chat room on Facebook. I'll be bouncing around trying to find everybody on here and see what's going down. And we'll get in on the conversation. Also, the text line is available if you guys want to do 313-307-5340. If you want to kind of keep it on the down low, that's our DL text line. You can go ahead and do that. Money in the Bank's coming up. WWE is on the fringes, and AEW seems to be doing a pretty decent job trugging along. But wrestling is going to be different for a long time, guys. So if you want to have that conversation about that, we will, especially next week when we have the virtual party. We're going to do Money in the Bank. Once again, guys, it's a J-Dubs Belts Facebook page exclusive. Our virtual party will be doing Money in the Bank. We're going to go on at about 6:30. Show starts at 7. 6:30, we're going to put up all 3 parts of the the third part of the belt mod, and all 3 parts will be uploaded at that point to the social medias, YouTube's, blah blah blah. So you'll have access to all of it next week, every bit that we did, and then we got some cool new leather jobs and other things coming down the pipe that we're gonna share with you that you guys might be able to do at home while we're all in the lockdown position. Which, depending on where you're at, you might be moving around, and that's what's kind of going on with the world of pro wrestling. And I think everything's changing, guys. And I'd love to hear your take on it. Yo, James, what's happening? I think pro wrestling is going to go to a different world for at least a year or so. I know that your state governors and all that stuff are starting to loosen things up, which is nice if it's safe to do so. Let's be real about the whole situation. But pro wrestling is going to be limited to television programming. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of live audience action. I think if you're going to do a live audience scenario again, it's going to be, I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do it at all this year. I had this conversation with a lot of cats in the sports world, and that's what it boils down to, is like, how do you get all these people in one little area right on top of each other in this climate right now? I just don't know how you do it. God forbid somebody comes in there sick and infects the entire area. The legal ramifications to that would be astronomical. Okay, so that's why wrestling is going to change. And we're going to get into all the legal issues Vince McMahon's got. Do you think he needs any more? I mean, let's be real. I mean, that's a real thing, man. And so I think pro wrestling is going to be a TV event. If you've heard me on my past podcast, or even when we do live stuff on the Facebook page, my take on pro wrestling. I would love more Lucha Underground. Essentially that is a small building filled with plants. Everybody in there's a mark. Everybody in there's a plant. They're all ordering tickets ahead of time and being sat in certain places, and they know that they're on TV, and it's a film. It's a TV show, and the way they did Lucha Underground was outstanding. And you saw when they took that scenario, WWE took that scenario, they gave you that Boneyard match, and it turned out to be really good. Everybody really liked it. So I think that is what you're going to start seeing more. You're going to get these live shows and live events when they can do things live, but I think they're going to just do a lot of live to tape kind of scenarios, and they're going to film a lot of stuff at once and put shows together all at once. Same thing Lucha Underground did. They basically got around for a couple of weekends, filmed all a bunch of stuff, and then put the whole season together all at one time. Now, I don't think it'll go that far, but I think you'll see that, where they'll go and they'll spend a few weeks just taping stuff, and then they'll take time off, and they'll let all that stuff air. And when they got a couple of weeks left of stuff to air. Then they'll come back in and they'll pick up where those storylines left off, and they will, based on who they have available, and they will film and film and film and film and film. So I think that's how you're going to see pro wrestling. I think the world of indie wrestling, I love me some indie wrestling over all pro wrestling. Going to the indie shows are my favorite, and I don't see us getting any kind of indie shows anytime in 2020. I just don't. I don't know how you do it, especially when it's super small, unless you do. See, this is the whole thing, because indie shows, and this is why, it's as simple as this. It's simple as money. Indie shows, live off the door fee. They have to have ticket sales. If you don't have that door, they don't have any revenue. They can do internet pay-per-views like an IPPV or something like that, but they're not going to generate enough money to pay the boys to work, let alone pay the hall, pay the insurance, and then pay all the people behind the scenes that do. You know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, Alana, how you doing? They're just not going to be able to do that. So with the bigger entities like WWE and AEW, those shows, they'll still be working and doing shows because they have TV deals. So their money comes from advertising dollars and TV dollars in those contracts. So, selling tickets in the gate isn't crucial. They can still operate. It's the same thing with sports. You're not going to see college athletics because college athletics, obviously boosters pay for college athletics, but they require the stadiums to be full and things to be sold for them to really generate revenue. And besides the fact that you can't put free labor in danger so you can make a bunch of money, all those together are why you're not going to get collegiate sports. But a big part of it is because you can't generate any revenue at the stadium, and you need that because not most of these college, the SEC network and you have the Big Ten network and stuff like that, but those schools aren't getting huge contracts, big money from those things enough to put on these shows, to put on these events. So it's not going to happen. So it's the same thing with pro wrestling. In indie, there's no way that you can generate enough revenue off an internet pay-per-view or sponsorship and trying to get YouTube numbers and monetizing off that. There's no way you can get enough money to secure a venue and pay insurance and pay people to work and pay the boys. It's not feasible. But AEW, WWE, they got big money contracts with TV and so that way they can fund it. It makes money. They have revenue there. They don't want to cut that off. They don't want to lose those contracts or that money. So you will continue to see those kind of entities moving forward. Now, now when you start getting into other stuff like New Japan and all that, the rules are different. You're in a whole other world over there, and I don't know how things are playing out there like they are here. So we're kind of just catching it second, third wind. Right now, New Japan has not canceled the Super Juniors yet, which to me is amazing. So the Super Junior tournament might end up going. I don't think it will. I think they'll end up, but I don't know what's going on in Japan. I don't know their status or whatever. So it's a wait and see kind of thing because they're just a couple weeks away. So it's one of those things as it's a fluid situation, and we'll see. So, but everything's going to be super different. And guys, I have to get used to these shows with not a lot of people or no people in it. I like what AEW does, and I think that's probably how they're going to handle it. Instead of having crowds, when they've opened up and allowed to have enough people, they will put just more staff, more of the wrestlers in the crowd to get some kind of background noise. They'll film it nice and tight. They'll do a lot of cinematography type stuff and other locations, the Hardy compound and all that kind of nonsense. And I think WWE will do the same. So I don't know if they will put wrestlers and such in the crowd, but they have enough staff and other people that they could put out there that could just make some kind of noise and be marks for a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that kind of adjustment made. But beyond that, what you're seeing now is what you're going to get, I think, for 2020. And that's crazy unfortunate. But it does force them to be more creative, if you noticed. They're being a little bit more creative with their ideas and thought process, hence this year's modification to the Money in the Bank. So I don't know what your take is on wrestling. What do you think? What's your feel in your state, guys? Maybe you're in another state and you got a different feel. Maybe you're in the business and you're saying, hey, man, I think we'll get to shows. It's not going to be right away. Maybe you have better insight than I do. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to add that to the context of the show. 313-307-5340 is our text line. You can hit us up on Twitter at Studio 57. You can also follow or like the Studio 57 Radio on the J-Dub Belts Facebook page and Studio 57 Radio YouTube, where they're live as well. Get in on the conversation any way you want. Alana, I am doing good. I am as well. I'm tired and sore. I've been doing some yard work and stuff like that, and I've been fairly busy, but not like my normal busy. I'm normally very physical with the day job and everything going on. Since we've been in lockdown, I haven't been. So getting out and doing stuff is, you can feel it a little bit more when you sit down for a little while and rest, being an older guy. So, so doing good. Other than that, I hope everybody else is doing good and staying sane out there in the world of crazy as it is right now. But it'll get better, guys, and things will be fun. So, as I said, I think it'll be a while before. I think this whole thing could change pro wrestling even more. I think even the house show game is just not going to be the same anymore. Even after we get back to whatever our new normal is going to be, I think the house show business will be different. I just don't see WWE doing a shit ton of house shows, or AEW doing a shit ton of like touring house shows if they have like a home base and can do it NXT style, like at Full Sail. When you can do something in those realms and we can get back to that kind of normal, I think that'll be close to what we get as a norm. And then doing pay-per-views and stuff like that on the road. But I just don't see you doing a whole lot of the house shows, which will be a great opportunity for indies to really be the dominant driving force locally, whatever area you're in, to see pro wrestling. And I'm all down with that, because I'm down for the indie shows. I'll go to a bunch of those, because for the price of a WWE or an AEW or whatever ticket, I can go to 2 or 3 shows, indies and over the course of time, and it's just better for your budget. I think you get better shows that way sometimes. If you're following talent locally that you like, it's super cool. I know I got friends in SoCal that they got a great wrestling scene there, so their indie scene is as good as our as anything out there. So same thing even when you go on the East Coast with Jersey and New York and all that, they got an indie scene that's just is good or better than a lot of the big boys. So I think those shows will only do better once we can get to a place where we can have them cats. And we'll see, man. Wrestling could change forever if Vince McMahon doesn't figure out what he's going to do with all these lawsuits. Alana, you're going crazy. I've been done crazy, so I think a lot of us are going nuts. It's a stir crazy thing. Even my dogs are stir crazy. And so that's just how this thing kind of goes in the world we're in right now. So, yeah, I just and Mike from SoCal will tell you. My buddy Mike from SoCal, Mike Palmer. If he's I drop his name here, but you've seen him in the chats and stuff. He'll attest to the indie scene in that area, how good it is. So. It is. They're really lucky over there, and so if you guys have that scene and you're jonesing for it, I totally can get it, because even our scene here in Michigan is really nice. Now we don't get as good as like I've seen there, my friends in Jersey get and stuff like that, but we do have a lot of good stuff here too, and a lot of shows. So I'm itching to go back and see my friends, man. A lot of my friends at work. I'm itching to go and volunteer and help out with some of the companies that I've done stuff with before, whether I'm just putting up rings or, building the ring or carrying chairs or if I'm selling belts or whatever I'm doing over there to kind of help the show a little bit. I love getting out there and doing all that. So I'm anxious to get back. I know all the boys are anxious to get back. They're dying to get in the ring and take bumps. And it's just, we'll get there. Hopefully we get there soon. Hey, Ben, thanks for hanging out with us. Anybody else that logs in, chimes in, hangs out with us, we'd love to give you a shout out. Love to have your voice heard. Keep the conversation rolling. Text line's available too. We'll get that out to you here in a minute. If you don't want to hit up on the social media, you want to be on the DL. We got the DL text line. So yeah, Vince McMahon. So I was talking. Anything on your indie scene? What you think the face of wrestling is going to be? When we're going to get back to shows? Are you liking what you're seeing? Any of that stuff's on the table. Anything we chat about? Also, I'll take in the inbox at the JDubs page. After the show, I'm cool with conversating. You guys know I like to have conversations. Next week we won't be here doing this. I like the secret show thing. I just saw an interesting little post there. We'll get to that in a second. Secret shows, super secret shows might be a thing, and I've heard more about those, and I try to keep my lips tight about them. But, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff going on. Mike, what's happening from Toronto? We are officially international now. Let's get this thing rolling. So, I love the indie scene. It's very, very good. And I think it'll be stronger once we can get back to it. It's just a matter of when and how and what it's going to look like. Now, Vince McMahon's got a ton of shit on his plate, and we'll get into this a little bit if you want to. He is getting sued in so many different ways, and I talked about I co-host a podcast. I really produce and just kind of co-host for the hell of it, a sports podcast on the Studio 57 radio page there. And so I've had the conversation with Johnny the Moose over there about what's that WWE is going to get sued. Like, when you become a publicly traded company, there's certain like carny shit you can't do, for lack of a better way to say it, right? Like in the pro wrestling world, there's a lot of stuff that's just straight up carny shit. And so you can't do the carny shit you would do when you're not a publicly traded company that you can get away with. And he's doing and practicing some of those like carny maneuvers, and that is what's ultimately getting him in this mess. And I've been talking about it for months, because WWE has been a big thing about how sports are going to move forward, because I believe that WWE and AEW, as an extension, just pro wrestling there on the mainstream, will be what ushers in the next level of sport. And I think the next sport after that will get back to normal or back to playing will be basketball, potentially hockey. You don't have as many players. You don't need fans necessarily there at all to make those sports go. But it's when you get into some of these other sports, it's going to be a little hairy, a little bit different. But you can kind of pave the way, and I think that pro wrestling is going to pave the way for other sports and other events like that to start happening again. And so they're going to be the guinea pig, if you will. And so I've been talking about this for a while, just pro wrestling in terms of that, even on the mainstream sportscast. But here we have, we're new, and this is a thing, and I don't know what you guys have thought about this stuff, but, Vince McMahon, you can't take money from one company and funnel it into another company and another business that's multi-millions of dollars without your shareholders knowing it, without this being public knowledge, without this being put out there. The reason being is that people need to know what their money's, if they're investing in, what's going on and stuff like that. And so you have to let these things have to, they have to be separate. You can't run two businesses like that. There's a money laundering issue. There's a lot of different things that can kind of come up that make people uneasy when they're putting their money and investing in your company like that when it comes to like a stock market basis. And yes, Alana, you are absolutely right. Baseball is weird without a crowd, and it's not going to be weird. It is weird because they are already playing it in Japan with no people. So ESPN doesn't play shit, but they play the baseball highlights and all that stuff from Japan because it's the only live current sports going on, and they're playing in empty stadiums. And I don't even think they're full stadiums. I think they're like ballparks, like practice parks, like spring training parks type things where there's not a lot of seats. I didn't really notice a lot of seats or anything like that. No grandstands or anything like that for sure. So, and it's, with no sound. You can hear every crack of the bat. You can hear them. I don't understand them because it's in Japanese, but you can hear them talking. I think it'd be great. I say mic up the field and let us hear everything that they say, all the shit talking they do, all the sounds of the cracks of the bat, and then put them in a place where there's no seats. So these guys, when they go diving for the home runs over the fence, they just flip into whatever because there's nobody there and they don't care, and there's no interference. I like, go for it. Do some real freaky camera angles and all that stuff. I think it'd be fun. But I think, once again, that is what WWE is laying the foundation for, right? Pro wrestling is going to lay that pavement, that road for that to kind of happen, and I think that's what's going to happen. WWE, AEW, they're going to stay in business. They're going to find a way to do business, but they're just going to change the way they do it a little bit. And as long as they find something that works for them and is successful, I think other sports are going to do the same thing. They're going to make any little adjustments and changes that they need to make so that they can be successful in their sport, and they're going to use pro wrestling as the example as things move forward. I really believe that. And so we can't, as much as people, you have it's funny because our country is very divided in a lot of different things, and wrestling is a microcosm of life, right? So we're seeing that, and we'd love to have you in the conversation if you don't want to get in on the social medias, the Facebooks and all that. 313-307-5340 is the text line. Got that for you. But if you go, excuse me. If you think about this thing going forward, things are going to have to change and adjust a little bit. So we have this a microcosm in this world of us, kind of being divided a little bit. And wrestling is like that. You have AEW and you have WWE fans that are kind of divided there, where you have homers for each that kind of go like a good rivalry, but it's weird how some want the others to fail, and I don't think that you want any entity in pro wrestling to fail at all. You need to keep it going. It's good for pro wrestling. When you go back and look at some of the shittiest stuff you've seen out of the WWE, it's when they had no competition out there, no better product offered to you. It's like a monopoly. You don't want that. You want competition. You want things to get better. It forces everybody to up their game. So that is what you want. So you don't want any of these to fail. And if WWE fails, that's worse for everybody, just because that for the annals of history, go back to, as long as you go back, if someone talks about pro wrestling in the entire history of pro wrestling, there's no way that you can have a conversation throughout the era and not be talking about the WWF, the WWF, or the WWE. That's a company that was all the same company through its heritage there. It's just they just changed and dropped letters, but through that whole time, they're always been the pinnacle of pro wrestling, and there's always going to be that conversation. Like, there's no way that they can be left out, I guess. So you sure as heck don't want something that's got that kind of history and all that to go away. It's never a good thing. It just isn't. So, but this is a real situation, because the way things are going now with how they're doing business and the money that he's losing, the fact that he went public, which I thought was a mistake to begin with the company, the fact that the XFL stuff and funneling all that money over there was a mess. Yeah, between the XFL ending, the money being moved from WWE to XFL without stockholders' knowledge, letting go top WWE executives, putting some employees at risk, all that stuff, Mike, you are absolutely right. And Mike's is there with his wifey watching and listening together, and I appreciate you guys. So he's on her page there, but yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So all those different things you definitely can't do when you're a publicly traded company. None of those. I mean, that's just a litany of things that we went through that are illegal. They're just not. When it comes to business morality, you just don't do business that way. It's just really ugly look. And so he's just all the way around. And then the way you're treating your employees and all that kind of scenario, you know, we've all heard the rumors of people showing up at the city county meetings trying to get the state to lock down the area so that they don't have to go back to work because they don't want to say they don't want to work because they don't want to get fired, and all these crazy rumors, all that stuff going down here. It's not a good look. And when you're a publicly traded company, when you're on that stock ticker and you're all about that, dude, you're in the mainstream news, and good or bad, you know, you're going to have to deal with the stuff that comes at you. I love anyone that talks to me. Mike, you're awesome. Alana, thank you very much. We love you guys. I appreciate all of you guys that come out and hang out with us. I appreciate everybody that hangs out at the virtual parties. You guys are always there hanging out. And so, we got another one coming up next Sunday. So instead of doing this show at this time, we'll be together still, but we'll be watching Money in the Bank. But this WWE thing is really, really crazy. Now, I don't know how accurate my information is, so I'm going to start dropping rumor and innuendo. I am now officially a dirt sheet guy. Just, this is my disclaimer. WWE has a Saudi deal we're all aware of, right? That they've got some issues over there. And that's been a big point of contention with stock shareholders and people within the company, whether it be at the top of the corporate ladder, ha ha ha, wink wink, pun intended, or if it's the workers themselves. That's been a point of contention, the Saudi Arabia deal. So I've heard, and I think we've all heard crazy rumors of what is entailed in this deal and what is going on. But I'm going to give you a gist of what I've kind of heard. And like I said, this is all rumor and innuendo. I'm going completely dirt sheet dude on you. I don't know a damn thing. You know, this is our ringside news fucking moment. They have, with all the stuff going on in the launch of the XFL and everything, Vince McMahon's trying to find as much revenue as he can because he wants this to be a real deal, for real thing. He wants to be able to, redo the XFL properly, and he needs to have it funded for at least a couple, 3 years so that if it's going to have a chance to stay afloat. So he wants to get 3 to 5 years with the funding kind of locked up through TV deals, sponsorships, any way he can. So I don't know this for a fact, but the Saudi deal comes at a very convenient time. So once again, if he's not a publicly traded company, getting money off a Saudi deal for WWE and then using that money to get XFL going, it's not, it's kind of dirty pool, but not really. It's like, as long as it's not a publicly traded company where people have their money invested in it, then it's not, I guess it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. I don't know business ethics as well. And guys, Mike, I love the XFL too, so I'm with you. But you can't. So I just think that Saudi deal came at a time where he's trying to get this money for the XFL to fund this league for multiple years for this thing to stay and be viable. It's the only way it's going to work. That's the biggest lesson that he learned from the first incarnation of the XFL, is that you're not going to just put out a show and then use the revenue to put the next one on, to put the next one on. That's carny shit that you can do with wrestling shows, but you cannot fucking do with professional football. So that's something that they had to do, and to have that huge upgrade that you're talking about, Alana, and Mike, I like the AAF too, but it was the same thing with the AAF. They ran out of funding. They shut right down, and this ties right in. Vince has got to have the money ahead of time. AAF shut down in mid-season. They ran out of money because it wasn't handled properly. Vince was trying to make sure that he had that 3 to 5 year window where he had revenue, that XFL was going to be alive regardless. It was going to live as long as their first run of TV contracts at the bare minimum. And so I really think that Saudi deal had a big part to deal with that. You can't do the Fox deal and all that stuff. That's too public. That's too out there. That's too much of a thing, I think, to be able to do that. But I really believe that he was trying to be sneaky and get some of that Saudi money over to the XFL, through the WWE, and that's what you're seeing with these class action lawsuits. So that's not really dirt sheet stuff. That's just putting stuff 2 and 2 together. Where I get into the dirt sheet level is where I only heard, and I don't know if there's any factual truth to this at all. Like I said, this is our ringside news moment. I heard that the Saudi deal was a long-term deal, like 10 years, like a 10-year deal, to not only come over there and do shows, but to essentially let the Saudis book the shows. So whoever they wanted, they were going to get. And it was going to be a huge dollar. They wanted a pay-per-view designated to them, hence the things that we had, hence the stupid belt that they did, hence all that stuff, because of all the money that they threw at Vince McMahon. Also, I heard part of the deal is that the company, I don't know what portion of the company, whether it's the library, whether it's the pay-per-views, whether it's the broadcasting rights, whether it's merchandising, whether it's trademark stuff, or whether it's the actual physical entity of the company, is on the line when it comes to this contract. In other words, if for any reason Vince McMahon needs to close the doors or sell WWE, that the Saudis will have the first dibs at purchasing the company. And as opposed to, leaving it with the family or selling it to Triple H or liquidating it and making money and retiring and letting everybody go or whatever, they would get first crack. If something like that is in a contract, I'm very curious at what else would be in said contract. So I think that whatever's going on there, that was more what the deal was with the hold up with the flights and holding back the pay-per-view and all the money. The money, they want their money because they want this contract right. And then if there's going to be a breach of contract, then they're going to get some kind of other rights. So I think it got really kind of crazy, and Vince McMahon had to pull a power move to get them cats out of there. Now, how legally binding their deal would be over here, depending on what they did over there and like how that would all play out, I don't know. But I think that is muddier waters than we know about, and that is that is going to be a problem. It's one thing that you do a bunch of stuff and shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to how he's handled everything else and all the lawsuits with the XFL and everything going on there. But it's a whole nother thing that while you're putting that Band-Aid on your bullet wound on your foot, to go ahead and, I don't know, shoot yourself in the chest at the same time. Like, that could be the death blow if all this hits all at one time. And so you're going to see weird stuff. That's why it is a real possibility that Vince McMahon sells off the rights to the pay-per-views. I believe that ESPN Plus will be the new home for WWE pay-per-views. They will no longer be on the network, and they will cost you $65, and you'll have to go to ESPN Plus to get them. So I do believe that is going to happen. I also believe that their library is of value, and if their streaming service flops because they pull the pay-per-views and the original content isn't enough to carry it, then they're going to sell off and liquidate a lot of their library. Now, who buys that? I think some of the AEW might want to buy some of that stuff because some of their guys. Impact might want to buy some of that stuff because some of their guys. But that's where the Saudis come into the mix. Then what happens to all those archives? This is super muddy. And when he's thinking about selling off all these portions of a company that Vince McMahon, guys, you know the same Vince McMahon I do, right? The guy that is has to control everything at all times, but he's willing to sell off certain parts of the company. That has got to be super worrisome for fans. So hopefully they get that thing all together. Yeah. So yeah. See, that's the whole thing. If all Vince's stock if Vince carries the majority of stock and it goes to the Saudi prince that he deals with, then essentially that's the company, because all the decisions will have to then go through the primary stock. I don't know how that works though. Now, when you're dealing with somebody overseas like that, I don't know the legal ramifications to all that stuff. But see, so if you're hearing rumors like that, then what I'm hearing is not all that out of whack either. So those are all things that could really be an issue going forward for WWE. And I'm not a huge fan of the product recently. Though I do like some of the stuff that they're doing. I'm always very curious of what they're going to do next and how they're going to handle all these obstacles. And I like watching cats that get it, as far as they get it is entertaining people, and that it's a TV show now, not a live show, a house show. Which the indie house show, live show thing is cool, man. Interacting with the crowd is great. We all want that, but. When you act, you can't act that way when everybody knows it isn't there. It's just not, it doesn't work. So, yeah, what they're going to always do next, I'll always want to see, because like I said, I think they're going to pave the way for a lot of other people. I think AEW currently, and it's up to you guys. Once again, you can join the conversation any way you want. I thank everybody that's been getting in so far, Bill, Alana, Mike, and everybody else that is chimed in and hung out with me today. We're wrapping up here pretty soon, and I'm going to end it with our cool little mod and stuff like that, our belt mods. So you can check that out here shortly. But, I think AEW's kind of handling it better. I like that they got just a few wrestlers in the crowd to kind of give you a little, hey, oh, here and there. I like that they're not placating to a crowd that isn't there. I like that they're doing a lot more like vignettes and silly stuff. Jericho is stone cold killer in everything that he does. It doesn't matter what gimmick you give him. It doesn't matter what you want him to do, as far as he can work everything, including the color commentary. The guy is a freaking amazing. Best thing going in pro wrestling right now from a creative talent kind of aspect. The goofy, stupid little bubbly bunch stuff, it's great. How often can you have a top guy be a heel and be a goofy, silly, comedic heel and still just be over and still like legitimize everything he does with one fell swoop of the elbow or whatever. So Jericho to me is the best thing going with this particular wrestling format, no matter what company you're behind, and that's just the real thing about it, is in my opinion. Anyway, also Dark Side of the Ring, great stuff. We'll get into that more as we get podcast rolling forward, and we start doing more and more. We got another virtual party coming. We're going to get into the Money in the Bank, as I said. I want to do another one, guys, right after. So what we have going is the Super Juniors for IWGP is scheduled. I think it's going to get canceled. If it doesn't get canceled, we're going to get together and we're going to pick some of those, because it's on for like 10 days or some crazy nonsense. And we're going to get together as many nights as we can, and we're going to watch that sumbitch. The Super Juniors are my favorite. That's my favorite. So that IWGP has to offer. So I'd like to do that after the Money in the Bank. With all the NXT talent living near the Performance Center, WWE could have done the same, and AEW has made it so enjoyable, especially Jericho. Yeah, and I think that's it. That's what I'm saying. WWE, it's not that they can't do the things that AEW's doing. It's just that they're not doing it quite that way. They're kind of doing it closer to business as usual as they can, and I think they just need to get away from that and not necessarily take AEW's lead, but think about that a little bit. They don't air Dark Side of the Ring in Canada. Oh, but Jesus, holy God, that's not even right. Is there something in the Canadian Constitution against that? That is not right. Okay, I'm going to shift gears. If the Super Juniors doesn't air, then we will do a best of the Super Juniors one night from last year. We'll pick one, and we'll do that. So we got the Super Junior fix, because I got to have my Super Junior fix. But then we will start doing Dark Side virtual parties so that our international friends can watch Dark Side, because that's some bullshit. Wait, you can go on YouTube and watch it, can't you? What am I doing? Can't you go on YouTube and watch it? Go on YouTube. Look for Vice on YouTube and see if you can watch it on YouTube. And let me know, Mike, because if you can't, that's some bullshit, and we'll take care of that over on the J-Dubs page as an exclusive. Mike, thanks for hanging out with us. Another Mike. I got lots of mics on here. Oh, they don't offer the Vice channel, but Vice has got a YouTube channel, and they air it. So if their YouTube channel is not available in Canada, then I understand. But if you can get their YouTube channel, it should be on there. If you can't, then we'll figure something out, because that is a great docuseries. Even the ones that aren't like topically that great, in my opinion, or something that I'd be all that interested in, they're still very, very good. So there you go. Billy Gunn and Sean Spears gambling was funny. I like the that whole scenario when they were gambling up in the thing. AEW is doing a lot of cool stuff like that I think it makes it neat. Like, I'm going to tell you, Sean Spears' best work was in that little office gambling, because that little seizure he had when he got pinned in a figure four was the dumbest shit I've ever seen. His last two matches have been straight up, a doo-doo. Okay, I don't say it. I want to say it. You're out there taking bumps. You're a worker. Like you, I don't ever say it, but they just. I'm sorry. Bad, not good. No, thank you. The best work he's done was his gambling problem, his gambling addiction, and they should run on it. So, yeah, there you go, Mike. Yeah, check it out. Vice has got a YouTube channel, and if you can't get Dark Side, you go ahead and watch them, because they got last season and this season, so there's plenty you have something to binge watch in between our virtual parties. But I'll make that a party, because that's sacrilege that you don't have access to that somehow, because that's a really good show. So yeah, in NXT, I think a lot of the NXT talent, especially the newer cats that have come from the indies more recently, those cats that they're bringing them over to the main shows, because those cats are willing to work. They're from the area. They're the new era of doing things a new, different way, and I think they're more open to it than some of these other cats. I love the MJF, Mike. I'm with you. The MJF injury thing. That's hilarious. Super creative. Can't travel. Doesn't want to be there. It's in quarantine until whenever they can get them back together. It's the same thing with the Moxley stuff in his driveway and now in the back alley, whatever. It was the same thing when Jericho was wearing the leather pants in the fucking hot tub. I mean, it's classic shit, and it's funny, it's entertaining, and they're not even in the ring. That's what I'm saying. You can entertain the shit out of me and then use matches to connect all those other little entertainment things, dude, and I am set. You're selling me on all of it. I'm even Sammy Guevara starting to grow on me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even a Sammy. He's not been able to sell me, and he's starting to grow on me now. So it's just one of those things where, it's just, to me, it's night and day when it's just subtle little things. I'm watching both products. I'm trying to see what's going on and who's going to do what. Like I said, I really think pro wrestling will pave the way for what we do as far as absorbing live entertainment going forward. So it's a close watch for me either way. Even if some of the writing and some of the performances are god awful. I know we didn't get into the Nia Jax destroying people, botchamania type thing. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit next week, guys. But that is some horrid work there that woman does. I don't know how you could put this woman out there still. That's my take on it. I have not taken bumps in a professional manner. I have fallen and taken a few bumps here and there just to be like, oh my God, I'd never do that in my life. But to, just be what just seems to be so unsafe, that is something I would really want to tackle at some point if we talk wrestling. So if she continues to hurt people, then we will have that conversation. For now, not so much. Belt Collectors Unite. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. First successful podcast in the books because of the whole a technical debacle last week. like I said, we're going to do Money in the Bank. So we'll go on at 6:30. We'll play part 3 of the belt modification. I got parts 1 and 2 coming live. So when I go off the air, don't go nowhere. I'm going to stay live. We're going to give you parts 1 and 2 of that belt mod. So if you guys came to see that, that's coming up here right next in just a second. But we're going to do it's the J-Dubs Belts Facebook page only. It's an exclusive to that page. We will be doing a live virtual party. The flyer will go up, and I will make an event page for it as well, so we can get things going. Sammy, Darby, MJF, and Austin Theory. I am with you on that, Mike. Those are 4 guys to watch going forward. And notice that 3 of the 4 are in AEW, and Austin Theory, his access to WWE was via Evolve and their relationship with Evolve. So there you go. Mike Carswell, thank you very kindly. Mike C and Mike Mike P we got going on here. So Mike C, I can't wait to have you there, and everybody else come out and hang out with us. Like I said, I'll go live at 6:30, and we'll post part 3 of the belt mod, and then we'll go live at 7 o'clock with the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So if you guys don't have access to it, you'll have a chance to watch it with us on the Facebook page. And if you're watching it at home, you'll just have somebody to hang out with, because we all get in the room, in the comments, and we all hang out and chat together, and I talk your damn ear off. And we just break down the show and have a good time. It's always super fun. So make sure you do that. So anytime there's a pay-per-view, we're going to rock those. And anytime we can come up with an excuse, we're going to rock those. So make sure, if you haven't, to like the J-Dubs Belts Facebook page, so that you get all those invites and all those notifications and everything on that. Every time we do a podcast, you don't want to miss that. And because we are in the Studio 57 studios here, we got... you want to go to the Studio 57 Radio Facebook page, throw them a like, and then that way you'll make sure you catch the podcast every time. Of course, J-Dub Belts is going to share it every single time, so it'll be there as well. And then, of course, the YouTube channel, guys. Everything that we do, BCU, will be on the YouTube channel for Studio 57 Radio. So go over to YouTube, type in Studio 57 Radio, subscribe to the channel. Every time we do instructional videos, we're going to put them up there. Every time we have a podcast, they'll be up there. Everything that we do video-wise will end up there in one central location for you. So make sure you like that, subscribe that, and get over there for that. Plus, there's a bunch of other cool content as well as we start adding more and more podcasters to the arsenal over there. So please check that out for sure. Mike, Alana, yes, great times. It's a lot of fun. Thanks. See, there you go, guys. If you're listening and watching and checking out, there's the testimony from the cats, the fans that come and hang out and enjoy it with, as we do it. So it's a great time. I appreciate everybody that comes out. I have a blast, especially with this quarantine lockdown scenario. It's been really a godsend to a lot of our mental health. So there's that. If you guys are on Facebook and like to get into the groups and do all that stuff, the whole thing behind this group is, yes, we're talking wrestling, but it's about bettering yourself in the community that is belt collecting, and make sure you protect yourself and you be safe. So we have a group where you can go in there and share stuff in real time, and we can kind of keep scammers out of our pockets, and we can kind of all protect each other and look out for each other. So look for the group, the Facebook group, Belt Collectors Unite. Ooh, how about that? In conjunction with the show, and that's our group. We're going to be over there talking about stuff. Anytime there's somebody doing some dirty, nasty stuff, it'll be in there. If you want to, elaborate conversations about our topic today, the Etsy eBay belt controversy, we can do that in there as well. If you see anything on the that looks grimy or slimy, that's where to go and let everybody know what's going on, so we can all go out there and shop and enjoy this hobby safely. So make sure you get in on that. So I am gonna get this thing fired up, because we are going to do a little bit of the bubbly. No, we're gonna get a little bit of a paint mod action going for you. I'm gonna give you part 2 here of the mod, and then part 1 and part 2. Oh, I'm gonna give you both. I'm gonna give you both part 1 and part 2. Part 2 will be, part 3 will be next week. Okay, and then all the stuff will be on YouTube next week. Everything will be up there. 1 and 2 I'll get up there tonight. sometime, I'm sure. So yeah, go to the Studio 57 Radio YouTube channel for sure and get in on that. Also, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't want to miss anything. Make sure I got it all covered. I think that's it. So, yeah. So next week, we're going to come back here. We're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to get into middlemen and belt groups and stuff like that, guys. Your guys are out there. You're doing your thing. You're trying to be safe. And it's hard to judge on what's going on. Yo, what's up, Sean, my man? The Dire Wolf is in the building. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you, man. We're getting ready here, wrapped up. I'm going to have a little video coming up so you don't have to go away. You can see this cool modification we did to the WWE belt. So hang out here for a minute. But we're live 7 p.m. Sundays here. So every week we'll try to get this thing in. Next week we'll be doing the Money in the Bank pay-per-view live. So if you don't have access to the pay-per-view, you'll want to come hang out with us because you'll be able to watch it with us right here on the J-Dubs Belts Facebook page. And you'll be able to hang out with some friends while you're doing it. It's very, very fun. So though it won't be the same as this podcast, it'll be super dope. And Mike, we got to get you a belt. Everybody likes belts. Let's get everybody a belt. But we got some... So next week when we get in here, we're going to do, or not next week, but the next time we get back in here to do the podcast, we're going to get into middlemen, the groups that are out there, how to navigate that stuff, who to watch out for, and like how to judge certain things. So we're going to get into that. If you got any questions, make sure you're lined up because also that week, which I guess would be 2 weeks because next week we'll be watching Money in the Bank. We'll also be we'll be starting a new segment here, starting to ask me anything, and so like whatever you want to know, I will dig the scoop. That will be the fourth wall of the belt community. I will break it down, with whatever question you may have. Now let's be real. I'm not going to go in and start busting up kayfabe and all that other wrestling shit, but I will, give any dirt that I know, and I will break down all the fourth walls when it comes to the belt collecting community, these groups, middlemen, overseas makers, even in-state makers, even J-Dubs belts, and any company that I have dealt with in the business on any level. So I'm not going to obviously give away business dirt or anything like that, but if you want to know, certain things, we'll scoop it out pretty dirty, okay, but not too dirty, because we want the truth. So we got to give it out there to you want stuff that's good. So we're gonna do all that stuff. We're lining up some guests too. We're gonna start bringing in some workers and stuff, guys. So any of you guys out there, in-ring workers, you want to come on, you want to talk about, the state of the business when it comes to wrestling and what's going on, we'd love to have you on for that as well. Give you a great opportunity to promote what you got going on, whether it be your YouTube channels and all that stuff. And guys, if you're out there and you're anxious to work and bump, I know you are, work on that promo game, my friend. And just use that as your creative outlet until you can get out there. And then hit me up in my inbox. We'll get you on the podcast. We'll remote you in here. And if you're local and the pandemic's over, we'll get you in studio because that's how we do. But we want to put over everybody that we can, and we want to get as much stuff out there as humanly possible so everybody knows. So that'll be what we do here, man. We'll protect you in the hobby, and we'll let you know what's going on with shows and all that good stuff. So that's good. Oh, yes, and Mike is great also when we get into see, there we go. We're going to have the Dire Wolf in here one of these days for sure. My man, one of my favorite local guys, and I'm going to tell you, not just because I gotten to know him and I consider him a friend, but Corey Kerr, one of our local pro wrestlers here, the Dire Wolf, great guy. Him and Caesar, two local wrestlers here, they put on a great series of matches here locally, and it's like, and I got to know the guys, and they're great guys and great workers and all that stuff. But I mean, like, that's what jonesed me on the indie scene as far as watching guys. So I'm going to get these guys in here and any other guys that, out there that want to get involved. We're going to get you guys in here, and we're going to get you over, man. We're going to let people know how to find you and what's going on. Mike, if you see Mike Palmer in the comments, he's my man right there. He's my West Coast connection. We're here in the Midwest in Detroit, but he's out there in SoCal. And if you got questions about the belt community, the belt hobby, he is a very trustworthy source, and he is out there and in the mix, and he is J-Dub certified. So if you want to talk to him or ask him questions, you can. And I'll vouch. So there you go. And that's what we're trying to do here. And my man still got scars from the matches. Those matches, man, the way you guys laid some of that stuff in and did some of that work, it was really, really good. I really liked what you guys did, and I just think, there's a lot of guys on the indie scene that are really good. You guys know that. Mike Palmer, he'll tell you that too. He's on the SoCal scene, and it's amazing there. We've got other friends over there in Jersey. You've seen Juan Rivera in the comment sections before, guys, of this show, and he's our Jersey. He'll tell you the Jersey scene is absolutely amazing there as well. So a lot of good pro wrestling out there. So we're going to definitely get guys over and get you connected with stuff as it comes, man, because I just really think shows and opportunities to see pro wrestling is going to be a trickle-in effect, and we want to get you guys tapped in. So this is going to be about the collecting community, and this podcast is going to go wherever you guys want to take it, man. I am all about making this thing. This thing is a podcast for the people, by the people, for the people kind of scenario. So we're going to keep it going like that for sure. So and like I said, guys, if you know anybody who wants to get involved in anything we got going, hit me up in the inbox, and we'll get that going for sure. For sure. All right, so I'm going to get up out of here, but I'm not really going anywhere, man. I'm going to give you the video. So what I'm going to tell you is we'll see you next week. I'll have the third part of the mod. I'm going to tell you go to the Studio 57 Radio YouTube channel and hit subscribe. I'm going to tell you make sure you like J-Dub Belts and Studio 57 Radio on the Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at Studio 57. That way you know everything we got going on and you don't miss nothing. So let me get all those plugs out of the way. But I want to tell you a couple of tips. Now, we did this WWE belt, and it's the Toys R Us belt, and they don't accept the side plates, right, from the shop. Well, we modified it to accept the side plates. The plain, boring black belt was not doing it for me, and we did a tooled backdrop behind the main plate, and we repainted the strap, and we customized the side plates, and we did a little something extra in there that you'll see in part 3 that I'll save. So last week we were having all these technical difficulties, and we had some equipment issues here that we got taken care of, but kind of in the mix, the videos that we had for doing this particular project were not the greatest videos. They had to be converted, so the quality is not great, but you can see what I'm doing. I explain it pretty well, and I'm going to give you a couple of pointers here before we go out, is that when you're taking this thing apart, when you're peeling the rubber grommets off the back, you've got to make sure that you keep those studs that they're connected to intact. So you're only cutting the little black ring, and you'll see what I'm talking about in the video. So that's a key point that you want to be careful with. Once you peel those rings off, it will leave a flared top on all those posts, and those flared tops have to be filed down, okay? And then because the posts are longer and made to stick past the leather to hold a ring, you have to grind or file those posts down shorter so that when you find a screw that fits there, it draws it tight and it doesn't flop around on the strap. So those are all pointers that I'll give you right now so you know what you're getting into. When you peel this thing apart, you're going to find multiple layers of plastic inside, and that's what you're going to be dealing with. The good thing is that the side plates, for example, are the perfect replica size, so you can follow the line really closely, which I'll explain in the video, and get those things cut to fit in there great. And you can see it on the right of our screen there, and maybe let me do this. I'll move it over I'll move the screen over, the camera over a little bit so you can see it. There it is right there. That's the one that we did, and it's And, you know, so we did blue on one side, red on the other. You've probably seen it on the page. We use it for our advertising. We did another cool mod for it as well that we will show off in part 3. But 1 and 2 was getting us to that look, the paint and the side plates, the custom side plates. We got Goldbergs on now. But I did music notes on that center plate, which you'll see in the thing. Very nice. It came out pretty good. And I'm gonna do Tupac and Snoop Dogg side plates, I think. I'm gonna go music with it. I don't know why. I'm just gonna do that. Yes, you always got to be super careful. That's another good tip. Is to do not break the studs, because then you're gonna have problems. So you got to be super careful when you're running the screws in. Don't use a drill. Thank you, Mike. Don't use a drill. Put your hand in super slow and turn it, and then you'll be good to go. All right. Also, before you guys roll, since you're going to go to YouTube anyway and subscribe to the Studio 57 radio page, and we've been talking pro wrestling, go over to IWE. It's Imperial Wrestling Entertainment. They've got a channel there as well, and they've got tons and tons and hours of content. And you want to find Corey Kerr versus Caesar Asher, and those are the guys I was just putting over earlier. And you want to see those matches whenever you can find them. There's a little series of matches they had over the period of a year, I want to say. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm going to say I've been going for a couple of years, and I'm trying to think of when that series of matches happened. But anyway, you go there and check that out too. It's cool content, something else you can see. And if you look around, you might see some J-Dub belts in the fucking ring over there. I don't know, like their world title. Oh, I don't know, like their tag team titles. Oh, I don't know, like their Goodman gimmick title. I got a bunch of belts over there that we did. So, but I put them guys over because they're good. It's good work. It's good stuff. And the guys that run it, John, the Creature Feature, been around a long time, knows his shit. Great guy. All good people over there. So definitely check that out. So we'll be putting guys over there more and more and more. For sure, as we get rolling and stuff like that. And I'm not going to put cats over that ain't worth putting over, so let's be real here. And, I'll give critiques. If guys I think could do better, because I think they can do better, then I'll say it. I told you, I don't ever like to call somebody a scrub or shit because they're out there doing something that none of us could do. But, there's got to be a way to critique. So you're going to hear a little bit of, I didn't like that, and that's how I'm going to handle that. But other than that, I'm going to tell it like exactly how it is. So when I say, I don't like that, that's going to be my way of saying it's shit, but I don't want to say it's shit because it's not. Because if I went out there and took a bump, I'd have another concussion and I'd be done. So there you go. West Coast stuff, yes, another one. Mike Palmer, he's got the West Coast indie scene on lock. Imperial Wrestling Federation is his local. He goes there a lot. I've made belts of his design that he's kind of used to kind of promote the company and say, hey, would you like to do this kind of design? And he's a good, cool designer guy. That's how we have our connection. And so, yes, he does it well. And Championship Wrestling from Hollywood used to be aired on television here locally in Detroit. So I'm familiar with that product, and it is very good. And you do see a lot of guys that you would see in NWA or you saw on Lucha Underground or you've seen in other companies, along with a lot of new talent that you'll see before they become big, because that's what happens. They go there and then they end up on one of these bigger shows, whether it's MLW, Impact, or whatever, and come up the chain that way. Evolve, whatever. So there you go. Lots of good stuff on YouTube. Lots of good stuff. See, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all know what's up. So yeah, I got a couple of buddies on my Facebook page that have wrestled there. Danny Limelight Rivera, great guy, good worker, hard worker, man. And same with Gino, another great guy. As far as he'll tell you how it is. So, and those guys have all been through them doors too. So, very, very cool. community, to be honest with you. And that's what we want to do. The wrestling community is very cool when you're dealing with the boys and stuff like that. But the business can be dirty and hairy. And it's the same thing with the collecting. The hobby and all the brothers in the hobby can be great, but it's got a dirty underbelly. So we're gonna expose the dirty underbelly so that everybody knows where not to go and what not to do, and we're gonna put cats out. We're gonna have fun. So you guys dictate the podcast. Come back with me every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we will make shit happen. So I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna get a cigar and a beverage, and I'm gonna enjoy the nice weather we got here in the D. And I'm gonna cut back because tomorrow it's back to work and back into the shop. So I'm going to do that. I'll see you guys for sure next week. We got Money in the Bank. We got the virtual party. I'll put the flyers. I'll put all that stuff. Everything will be there, and we'll have a blast. It'll be freaking great. Don't go anywhere because I got a video for you coming up, the mod video. We got to get that rolling. But I'm out. Peace. This is where it all started. It's just a little room. Simple little craft project turned into a full-on belt-making company.
Yo, what up, though? Your boy Scrappy here with you in the shop, ready to do a little project. Something you can do at home, or just sit back and watch and enjoy. But we're gonna take. I figure with all of us getting kind of locked down, I would want to cover the project that might be possible for everybody. So one of the probably more common belts you see out here is the WWE logo belt, the world title. So what we've got here is the Toys R Us toy commemorative version. So we're gonna dig into this thing, and we're gonna do some modifications. So we're gonna start off with get these plates off. We're gonna set up these side plates to accept your WWE shop replica plates that you can place in and out. Which, as you know, Toys R Us, you know that's not a thing right now. So we're gonna modify that, and then I just think this belt's entirely too boring. So we're gonna do a bunch of other fun stuff too along the way. So it's gonna be a multi-part series, and I'm gonna show you how to do this stuff. You don't need a whole heck of a lot of tools at home if you got them. So I got our belt here. Like I said, it's the Toys R Us version. We're gonna put these shop plates on them here. I just got some Goldberg ones. No big deal. You know, probably won't even keep them around. I'll probably start making my own custom ones, but for now, these will work perfect. Shop, if you have size, you know, from the shop. So they fit perfect. So you can see that they replicated this to the T. So there should be no issue to cut these things out. So I got a few things. I got my X-Acto knife, and then the other option is going to be you're going to need a couple things. There we go. Got some needle nose pliers. My X-Acto knife. And I'm using hot knife. But you could use a Dremel as well. And we're going to use that to cut this plastic and circles cut out to accept these things. So first things, and you can see I got a couple other things here. I got some painter's tape, and I got a couple
different colors of leather dye here. So this thing's, and I got actually a couple things hidden up under my my bench here too that we're gonna add all of this together to kind of spice this thing up. But first things first is we got to get these plates off and see what we're dealing with under here. So flip this thing over, and on this side. Now, the Toys R Us, there's no screws, so they don't make it easy for you. You can't just unscrew it. So it's got all these like rubberized plastic rings over these little studs. So we got to get those rings off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push them down on that faux leather, so you get a little separation between the ring and the leather. And you can take the point of your knife with the sharp side facing up. Push it in till you get to the stump, and work your way up. And cut that up. So once you cut that all the way through to the actual stud, which is plastic. Once you've done that, all you need to do is get your needle nose up under there. Grab it, peel that off. With that ring off, stud's still in place, and you're rocking. So now you just gotta get all of these guys off. A ton of these little guys on there, and that's really the hardest part to this whole thing. But you're not gonna put these back on. So don't worry about breaking them. What we're gonna do is they're a little flared, so you can take the edge of your knife and break and cut the little flare off, and make it a nice, even, smooth stump. And then we'll be able to run screws through that post and fasten this back on without an issue. The key is going to be making sure you got the right size screws. So we'll get to that when we go put this thing all back together. But I got big plans for this thing, so we're gonna really get after it. So I'm gonna sit down here and I'll bring you guys down here with me, and we're gonna start getting after it here. Turning coming off there, so let's deal with that one a little bit later. But I got where I wanted to be, because right now we're just concentrating on these two pieces. So the strap out of our way, and we'll come back to it. As you saw, I got the leather dye and the tape. So we'll definitely be coming back to this, because this is just boring. So when got a little more fun to me is kind of a boring belt.
So just spice this sucker up. One way is the way that they intended is to have plates, but side plates. So you see these things work out pretty good. That's not a big deal. Now this thing is kind of what I expected. It's obviously plastic, and it's layered. It's like channels. So I should be able to cut this pretty simple. Key is I'm gonna have to cut one layer probably at a time just to be sure. So I'll just peel this off. The gemstones are not gemstones; it's just clear Lexan plastic backed up to some more silver Lexan plastic to give it a reflective quality. So, but I'm going to show you why that's going to be cool for us later when we do my little secret modifications I got for you here in a later clip. So, we'll strip these down to just this. Get these apart here. I'll come back and cut those once I've cut this. So I'm cheating. I'm using a hot knife. Now, I don't have it all the way up, but I'm going to get it pretty warm. I'm going to see how it does. I've never done this with this particular material. I've done it with other plastics, like a thicker plastic. So I'm curious how quick or slow this thing will progress. So. Now again, you could be doing this with a Dremel, no issue. I am just going to go with the hot knife because I can just sand it down after that, and I just kind of want it to, I don't want to absolutely fucking cause a total disaster. Now if this doesn't work out, I may switch to that plan. This is working, but it's causing a lot of slag. As far as I'm getting this like leftover melted plastic, and that's not a huge deal, but I was hoping I wouldn't have as much of that. So let's see how this goes. So I went with the hot blade. I think a Dremel would work just fine. I went with the hot blade just because I felt I could get cleaner, more accurate kind of cut. So yeah, I lost part of that stump, but it's still there. So that's alright. So I did get a pretty clean cut. Maybe a little spot or two I might have to trim off. It should be pretty easy. I see one right here actually. I don't think I have to get too crazy with my Dremel, which is what I was trying to avoid. I didn't want to do a lot of Dremel work. I just want to clean it up with a Dremel.
You know, I get most of it with the emery board. But now, once I get that Dremeled in there and cleaned up, this is going to fit in there nicely. So then we're going to have to line this up, put this back together, and go through and cut this out. So I'm going to do all that right now. So what I'll do is I'll take a pen, and I'm going to mark that where it's going bye-bye. Actually, that pen isn't working great, so I'm going to do the other one. The paint pen is always a great option to have in your arsenal of stuff, in case you got a surface you can't write on. So, the paint pen will write on just about anything. And what I want to do is maintain the gemstones around the side, so that's the reason why I'm going to cut that out. And then, so, let go. That marked. That'll be an easy one. This one will be a tough one. This one will probably go in the Dremel, just because it's going to take a little bit more work. I guess I do have a couple of options. I guess I don't have to cut a hole in that thing. I guess I could just drill holes through it. That might be a better option, to just drill holes through it. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just drill holes for these in it. And that way, should be able to snug it up, as opposed to having a hole that goes all the way through. So that's what we're going to do. We're only going to cut. We're not going to cut the silver. We're going to leave the silver alone. What we'll do is we'll mark the holes, and we'll keep that as a plate, so it's got some support, some backing. So we'll leave that alone. I'm kind of bummed I put that on there, but that's all right. I got the you won't see it with the plate on it. So that's it. So we're gonna hit this thing with the Dremel. We'll cut this one out, and then we're gonna do the same thing for these, and we're gonna put the silver inside there. We'll put that paint pen action around the edges here. We'll touch it down, make our marks, drill the holes for it, and we'll be rocking. So I'm going to move over to the Dremel. I'll get all that boring stuff done, and we'll get these pieces back here, and I'll show you what we got going on. All right, so we're back. I went and did all the Dremel work, did all the boring stuff, and I'll show you kind of how we came up with this. So what we did is we took this piece here, and we cut in here and here and here, and after we cut this out, and this is kind of what we got. You can see we're set up. I got this plate together. It's got the Goldberg plate sitting on it, and the bolts are exposed on the back. So how we did this is pretty simple. Is we only drilled holes in there to account for these, the mounting, and then we were able to take this thing, and once we cut it, the circle out, we were able to file the stems the same way. Pretty simple. I used the heat knife. I thought it was a lot easier to get through, and it left me a lot less Dremel work. Basically, I just went around and cleaned it. Any little imperfections I had to kind of file down. There is a stump here on the wide part of the plate, dead center, and what I did is I ground that down to like a 45. Now it's barely on there, and it's not really probably going to hold anything thank goodness. But what I wanted to do is when I put it back on the strap, there was going to be a hole there if that stud was gone completely. So I was able to file it, and I'll show you right here. I was able to run it, file it down, and give it this angle here so that it would allow for the plate to sit proper, but would still have a place to hold the screw. Now it's not going to hold anything stability-wise, but at least it covers the hole in the strap. And there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 others that are going to hold and bear the weight. So it should be okay. I can't imagine that it's really going to go anywhere. But when I go to put the screws and stuff in to mount this, I'll probably put some epoxy down in there, and that'll firm that up too. So now with that done, I can put this back together, put silver backing back on, and that's going to be the stop. So this thing doesn't go too far. We drilled the holes big enough so that we could get that all the way through. And now, bam, you're able to mount your plates. Now you're going to have to mount this to the strap, and you're going to have screws long enough to get there. So we're going to get to that and all that when we start putting this thing together. But that's basically it. So we're going to repeat the process on this plate once again. You're going to take, when you're on this thing, okay, you're looking at this thing, you're going to this outer ring. Oops, can you see me? Okay, so you go to this outer ring here, and you want to stay as close to the center plate as you can in that groove, okay? And then and you don't want to touch that other side of that groove. Essentially, that other side of that groove is the flush point, so you don't want to touch it and mess it up. So you have to take and stay as close to this center as you can, and then and even if you go in and sacrifice the center plate, because it's just some super flimsy plastic that you'll never use again. And so I scratched mine a little bit, but it did come off real clean this way with a hot knife. They're only like $20. It was a soldering iron / hot knife. It was like $20, $25. So, but if you already have a Dremel, you could easily, put an attachment on there, cut that thing down way on the inside, and then Dremel it, sand it down till you meet that point. I wanted to get as close as I could with as little Dremel and nonsense as possible, and as little mistakes as possible, so I went with that. So once that's cut and it's cleaned, then you're just matching. When you put this back in there, you just want to make sure that you get clear inside your cutout so that this doesn't interfere with the plate setting down. So as I'm sitting here, not in camera view, there you go. You want to make sure you get all of this out of here. So get way back in there, put it inside your cutout, and Dremel it even, and then you're good. It's the key with these plates. What I did here is I took my once I had all that cut out, took my paint pen. Where did I put my paint pen? Got my paint pen, and I went on here, and just on the very edges, I just went around it and gooed it all around the edge, nice and wet, both sides. And then with the plate sitting where I want it, I gotta line it up and be slick, and just drop that in there and hit that mark, and then pull it back out, and then it leaves the dots behind. Now they're not perfect, so I wallowed them out to make sure I had enough room, and it cleared through. I just want this plate to kind of be to hold this. I want enough there to hold the stones in place, and then I want enough there that there's like a backing for the side plate to stop on. So that's it. That's how we got. So now we got. So that'll be pretty simple. So there you go. Oh, show it the right way. So there you go. There it's the. Put it right up here where you can see it better. And so you're good to go. Like I didn't have to do any extra work. came out super clean because I used that knife first, and then I went through with the Dremel, and we're rocking. So there you have it. Side plates for your new logo. Now, that's only the beginning. Of course, if you were going to just stop there, you would go through here and you take every one of these studs and you'd find a screw that fit it but didn't break it, but would get in there and hold tight. And then I would recommend just a drop of glue or epoxy in there to keep it from backing out on you. And then and obviously don't do that for yourself. And then you're going to have to punch holes in your strap. So when you go to put this back on, you're going to be playing this game again where you're going to be putting something. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put some long screws in, or not long screws, but I'm going to put some screws in, and I'm going to glue this. I'm going to put that glue, or not that glue, that yellow paint pen that I was using. I'm going to put it right on those again. Only there'll be a screw on there, screw head, and then I'll slide this back into its place, into the holes, leaving, the marks behind of where I need to pop those holes, and I'm going to take everything back out. I don't even really need to do that. You shouldn't even need to do that. If you do it right, you put all this in here, you should be able to just pop those holes in because you know where your holes are. So you should be able to just drill right through here if you want, or use a punch right through there, and then these things will go on just like any other belt, and you're rocking. Adds a little weight to your toy belt, and now you can customize it. For me, I'm going to take these, get the dimensions, and make a bunch more plates, and I'm going to have all kinds of customized plates for this thing. And I'll do like other cats do, where they have their plate wall, so to speak. But I'm not done with this thing. So next week, when we come back, we will have. There we go. Let me get this on here. Next week, when we come back, we'll have that other side done and ready to go, and we'll be moving on to spicing this up. This thing, my friends, this belt strap for this thing is boring. The belt is boring. The plates are boring. The strap is boring. But we're going to unboring them. So, is that a thing? But it is now. So, what we'll do next time is we'll get fancy with some tape and some leather dies, and we'll make this thing a little bit more interesting. I'll find a way to peel this thing off that's stuck. Maybe we can solve a problem for other people if they run into that as well. And then that'll be in the next one. We'll get this thing together. But I have something special, super secret, that I can't tell you yet. So you'll want to come back and make sure, because with the way these things are designed, and these plates are designed, and some of the stuff that I have here just laying around the shop, I really think we could do something very cool with this, even though, in my opinion, this is the lamest belt plate in the history of belt designs. So, thanks for hanging out on this one. See you next week. We'll color this thing up. We'll make this thing bad as hell. Peace.
Part 2 coming up next. Don't go nowhere.
Yo, what up though? How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing good. Welcome back to the shop. Last week when I left you, we were working on customizing a WWE World Championship, the Toys R Us version, so the cheapest one you can get. And we're having fun with it. So all we're really doing, as you can see, I got laid out, was getting these things set up to take these plates. So we did that. I showed you we did one here, and I got the other one set, and I just snapped them all together. I'm holding them together with these clothespins just because like everything's all lined up. So when I get ready to mount these to the see, I got the holes all lined up in the back, and so when it's time to mount these, here, let me get you a nice good close-up.
you can see we made sure we drilled the holes right there for the side plates. So now we've got to put those holes and stuff and make modifications to the strap so that we can change these out at will. So and we got to get some hardware. So we're going to get all the hardware and stuff together as well. But for now, I just wanted to kind of show you what we did here. And it's all pinched together, so it's ready to rock. So this plate will come right out of here. But for now, it's there, it's ready. And we're going to use these to make our marks. Okay, so in other words, we're going to take the paint pen and we're going to utilize everything we can to make the marks that we need. So what I did is I already did some of that ahead of time, so let me get these out of the way and I'll show you what we did here. Let's get the strap in here. And so here's the strap. I did a bunch of different things, and I'll tell you what I did here in a minute as I get it laid out for you. Okay, first things first, what you'll notice is the center here is in rough shape. There was a little piece that went over there that was, typically there's a backing piece of leather here that's tooled. On this cheap one, it's just a little piece of vinyl that's kind of faux tooled, and it's just kind of sitting on here. It's glued in the center a little bit, but it was barely, like, it just sucked. It was horrible, and I hinted to you guys earlier that I wanted to do more to this belt than just do the side plate since I had everything taken apart. So we're going to put a new leather piece here. So I prepped that. I got rid of that other thing there so that we were flat down on here and we didn't have anything in between that would mess up our, you know, not that there's going to be any adhesion or anything, but I just didn't want to make it any fatter than it needs to be because I'm already going to put some leather in there that'll be a decent thickness. So that's already going to affect it a little bit. And I just wanted to minimize the effect there. So got rid of that. Also, I was able to take the when you take this plate here, I was able to take and use the paint pen and put it around the posts on the side plates here on this thing, right? Yeah, just on the, and then I physically put this whole thing through the holes and marked it. Oh no, I didn't even do that. Now that I think about it, I just put this in here without the side plate, and then it exposed the holes, and I was able to mark the holes that way with the paint pen. And then I went in and drilled those holes out because punching them through just was a pain in the ass. So I ended up drilling them out and setting them in. So we're all set. So we got our holes marked here so that we can accommodate our plates and our screws. So that's what we got here. Also, while I was at it, I was trying to get the tip off because we're going to paint this strap too. I'm boring, and I'm not going to put new leather on it because they're plastic plates and all that. But I figured the strap is still like mint as far as these go, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. So I had the side plates already, so that's not a thing. And then of course we have almost the supplies I had here. So I am not spending a lot of money. Now if you were going to do this, you might have to spend a couple of bucks to get dyes and whatever, but I happen to have all this stuff here. So for me, this is just time. It's not really materials because this is stuff I'd have laying around anyway. So but I couldn't get the tip off. This thing just would not come off, and I don't want to break it. So I did a super duper tape job, hopefully, and did all that. Now the snaps themselves I'm not going to worry about because I'm going to leave the snap boxes black to give it a little flair. So, and the way this is stitched on there, that second layer of snap box, I should be able to get right up to that line with these brushes and this cool acrylics that we're going to use to do this. So this one will be fun. This one will be super fun. So we'll make this a little different. We're gonna have some fun with this. So so the strap is pretty much ready to go, other than the dyeing. So we're gonna put this to the side, and we're going to worry about this centerpiece because we want to have that backdrop behind the center plate looking super nice, and I want to do something more fun than the typical regular, so we're going to do that today. So let me show you that. Once again, just got a few things rolling, so we had it already, so you understand. I went and I dug into my stuff, and I must have put it away. I dug in and I found a bunch of my spare leather chunks that I had, laying around, and I happened to have a big enough piece that for this center part. So what I did is I took this fresh leather like this. There's just a big old chunk, and I cut it down already. I set the center plate down. I traced the outline of it, and I cut it down to that shape with some straight edges. Then I went in and I set it down, and I shortened it up and made sure it was inside, so it was smaller. So I just take I think I took like 1/8 of an inch off all the way around, and then that got me inside the plate. And then once I did that, it was a matter of marking the holes. So this is the piece here, and I already kind of got into doing some other stuff because I get carried away. But I wanted to be prepped and ready when we came here, so I'm going to explain everything that happened here. So what we did is after I cut this out and got it framed in small enough to fit inside, I matched it up with the plate to make sure it fit in there good where I want it and everything. And then with a slightly dampened leather, I took the plate and pressed down all the posts so that we had everything marked really well. Then I went through and punched them out. And then now this thing has been slid on over and looks and fits back there. Everything's good. So we knew that was sweet. So I decided I didn't want to do the traditional tooling. The traditional tooling that was in there is this little waffle-headed teardrop fucking thing, and they just kind of bang, 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 all over it. And so, to me, once again, super, super boring. So, on this one, we did a little something different, and you can see what I did to the leather here, hopefully. So we got that texture that we're looking for with the backdrop. But if you can't tell what that is, those are all music notes. So as a musician, I was like, that'll be fun. So I put music notes as the texture instead. And so in the spirit of keeping things fun, I started dyeing. Now, we could do the universal title, right? It was red. The universal, now it's blue. You've had the black. So I could go a totally different color. I was considering going green, but I decided because I'm going to work with what I have here, my green is kind of allocated what I have to something else. And so I had some leftover red and I had some leftover blue, and we're going to have some fun with this red, blue, and black scheme with this belt. So that's how we're going to rock this thing. So after I got all this thing tooled, with the moistened leather, I sat here for probably an hour or so and pounded all these music notes into this leather. And we just take a little bit of this tape, masked it off to get us a nice straight line. It leaked a little bit. I'm not super freaked out about it because I'm probably gonna have to touch this up again anyway. And so, but I just wanted to make sure I get a really close, accurate line. So I'm gonna split this sucker in half because I think it's fun. I don't know why I think it's fun, but it's fun to me. So we're gonna do half and half on this sucker. It's gonna be like Two-Face from Batman. And this one's good and dry, so I wanted to be able to kind of keep moving. That's why I did some stuff here ahead, so we can get a little bit closer to what we're looking for. So there. So I split that there, and then I've got these wonderful little dyes. You can see I used fire red here for the one half that we got done already. Now, like in all likelihood, I'll probably peel this up and it's going to pull some of that dye up, so I'm going to have to go back over it. But the key is to at least get that main line right there looking pretty good, and if I can get up to it and touch it, it'll be all right. We're going to have the plate's going to cover most of it anyway, so I'm hoping that you don't see any little imperfections that we may or may not end up with here. Who knows? It could come out great and we don't have an issue. So there's the red I use there, fire red, and then we're going to go with a light blue. It's going to be more like this tape almost, and we'll and we'll give it that look too. So I'm going to split it. So what I did, little painter's tape. Hopefully, like I said, we don't take too much of that back up. I hope I let it dry enough, but as we're doing this project, we're trying to keep it moving. So I hope everybody's doing what they can to stay safe. Thanks for checking out the BCU podcast and coming into the shop here for our little do-it-yourselfer little things. We got a bunch of stuff coming down the pipe soon, so I'll get to that in a little bit, or in coming up in subsequent episodes here. So yeah, so now I'm just going to take this blue, and I could go with a bigger brush scenario. I could go with a sponge, I guess, if you wanted to. I could go with a dauber. I could do all that, but I think I'm getting more spread with this brush. I'm getting into these tighter little spots and easier, and it takes a little bit longer than whipping over it, but then I don't come up with spots that didn't get covered. I seem to get in all these little nooks and crannies better. So I'll take the extra time and make sure I get it, and then if I had a big area, I would be airbrushing it anyway. So once that dries, we're in good shape. So there's our half and half. So we put that plate on. We'll put this behind it. Get this strap in here. So with that behind it, it would look cool if I line these holes up. Use the strap to make all the holes. That's okay, I had it all figured out. So there. So yeah, that would look a lot better just like that. But I'm not done. We need more than just that. I don't think it just quite solves it. So we're going to do the same thing with the strap. Only I'm going to do it the opposite way. So it's opposite day. This is going to sit here like that. So I want to make sure that when I tape this off, I get this properly taped. So we'll say that goes right there. Oh, maybe not totally right there. Let's go right out the side of this other hole. So I'm going to go like that. I'm not going to stick it totally. Now we'll put this back over the holes. Line it back up. Make sure I get this end adjusted properly. Right there. There we go. So now we have perfect opposite. So this side I'm going to do red, and this side I'm going to do blue. So it's got that opposite effect to it. So that's how I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to leave the snap boxes black. So there we go. So now we're all set up for that. We're set up for that. Once we get this thing dyed, we can go ahead and start snapping the plates together and getting this thing looking sweet. I think I'm going to take, because the swoosh is red and get lost in the red side, we're going to take that swoosh and we're going to make it black so it coordinates with the snap boxes, and we're going to put this sucker back together. So I got this thing taped off. I'm going to do just like we did. Tape this side. I'm going to paint this side first blue, and then we're going to get onto that side next. I'm going to upgrade to a dauber because I got a lot more area to cover. So a dauber looks like a big old cotton ball with a handle on it. I don't think I got a blue one, so I'll have to bust out make a new one for this blue. Try to reuse them as much as I can, so I'm not buying them by the bulk. Go through them quick if you do it that way. So it's like this. So we're going to take this thing and we're going to dip it in there, and we're going to do the circular motion. And we're going to just circular all the way around here. I'm going to get it real clean. I'm going to get it cleaned up a little bit, wipe it down so there's nothing extra on here. It's going to impede on what we're doing. In here it's not as crucial because it'll be covered by this. So if you've got some imperfections behind this, it's not that crucial. So don't freak out. It's in here you want to be real good with. Anything that's not covered by plates you want to be extra good with. So once we do this and seal this all, get this all the way around, we're going to take, and the same thing with here, this is almost dry, so I can show you that before we go. So what you want to do is, yeah, that's almost dry. We're going to let that red dry up just a little bit more. So what you do is you need to protect this. It evens the coat a little bit, gives it an acrylic protectant, and it keeps it from like coming off on your hands over time. So what we're going to use is Resolene. So we're going to take a sponge, and it's going to be just damp enough that it's soft. Okay, I might add a little water to this one and soak it through, but make sure you wring it out real good. You know, essentially you just want it to be. Now this one has got Resolene in it, so you can see it. Look at it, it's soapy. But Resolene is actually, it goes on kind of milky white, but it dries clear, and it's you want to put it on here. Don't skip this step. So same thing, circular. You kind of see it when you're looking at it. Probably doesn't pick up in the camera, but it gives it looks a little wet as you're looking at it. This sponge has got plenty in it for this little piece, so I don't have to add any to it. But when we do the belt itself, we might have to add a little to it. So there we go. That's it. Let that dry, and this thing will be fully protected and ready to roll. So it's got all our holes in it. It's ready to rock for what we need it for, and so this can get put away. We'll let that thing dry, and we'll be good to go. Now it's on to painting. So now the dauber makes more sense, and then and we'll do that. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to paint this blue, follow the same processes on both sides with everything we did here, and then we can start putting this thing together. So when you get up out of here, thank you for coming to the shop and hang out. Next week we will we'll have this thing we'll get this thing all painted up, looking good. We'll get the plates and everything on, and I got one more trick up my sleeve for this project that I'm going to show you that should be super fun. Make this thing super fun. Like I said, just having a blast with this thing and just being playful and goofy. So we're gonna do that next week. I'll finish this thing up, and I'll show you what I got hiding in my bag o' tricks. So once again, thanks for checking out the BCU podcast here on Studio 57 Radio. Thanks for coming to the shop. Make sure you go to the J-Dub Belts page and check out projects like this and other stuff we got going there, as well as our website, jdubbelts.com. That's 3 B's in the middle. And stay tuned for the YouTube channel for the J-Dubs coming soon. In the meantime, enjoy everything we got on the Studio 57 Radio platform. Thanks for coming to the shop. See you next week.